She's not going to tell you. Not with words, anyway. If you're sitting there waiting for her to say, I like you, you're going to be waiting a long time because women rarely announce attraction out loud. They show it in movements so small, most men scroll right past them like background noise. A foot pointed toward you in a crowded room. A pause before she answers your text. The way her voice changes pitch when you walk in. These aren't accidents. These are signals, broadcasting in a language you were never taught to read. And here's the uncomfortable part. Right now, today, there might be a woman in your life sending you signal number 7, the one almost every man completely misses, and you have no idea it's happening. So what if the friend zone you think you're stuck in isn't real at all? What if it's just a translation problem? If you've ever walked away from a conversation with a woman and thought, did that go well or did I imagine it? This video is for you. If you've ever been blindsided, thinking things were purely platonic only to find out later she'd been interested for weeks, this is for you too. And if you're the guy who's been called oblivious by every female friend you've ever had, stick around because that's about to change. Here's what nobody tells you. Attraction isn't hidden because women are trying to trick you. It's hidden because showing interest openly carries risk. Rejection stings differently for women than it does for men, socially. It can cost more, be remembered longer, get talked about. So instead of direct declarations, the female nervous system defaults to something older, something wired in long before dating apps or dinner dates existed, subtle, deniable, testable signals. Signals she can retract if you don't respond the right way. Signals that protect her ego while still opening a door. That's the psychological truth most men never learn. And once you understand it, you stop reading her behavior as confusing. You start reading it as data. In this video, you're going to learn 9 specific body language signs that indicate genuine attraction, not politeness, not friendliness, not just someone being nice because they were raised well. Real, physiological, hard-to-fake attraction signals rooted in how the nervous system behaves around someone it's drawn to. Here's the promise. By the end of this video, you will never sit in a conversation feeling blind again. You'll know what to look for, why it happens, and what most men do wrong when they finally notice it. Because noticing isn't enough. Reacting badly to a signal can kill attraction faster than never noticing it at all. Let me plant 2 things in your mind before we go further. First, signal number 7 isn't obvious, but once you see it, you'll spot it in every interaction for the rest of your life, and it might explain a woman from your past who you completely misread. Second, there's one signal on this list that men consistently interpret backwards, treating it as disinterest when it's actually the opposite. We'll get there. But before the 9 signs, you need to understand why body language leaks the truth even when words don't, because that changes everything about how you watch for it. Most men believe body language is about grand gestures, hair flips, prolonged eye contact, maybe a laugh that's a little too loud at a joke that wasn't that funny. That's the Hollywood version. It's not wrong exactly. It's just incomplete, and incomplete information gets men rejected by women who were actually interested. Here's the truth. Genuine attraction shows up first in the parts of the body a person isn't consciously controlling. Your face is trained. You've had it your whole life to learn how to smile politely, how to nod, how to look interested when you're bored. But the lower body, the feet, the torso, the spacing between 2 people, that's largely unconscious. And unconscious behavior doesn't lie the way a rehearsed smile can. This connects to something psychologists call leakage. The idea that concealed emotional states leak out through channels the person isn't monitoring. When someone is trying to appear neutral but is actually interested, the leakage shows up in posture, proximity, and micro-timing, not in what they say. Think about the last time you were genuinely nervous around someone you liked. Did you plan your foot position? Of course not. Your body did things your brain wasn't managing. That's exactly what you're learning to spot in her. Here's a real scenario. A woman is out with friends. A man she's mildly interested in walks over to say hi to the group. Verbally, she's casual. Oh, hey, how's it going? Completely composed. But her torso rotates fully toward him, away from the friend she was just talking to. Her drink comes up to chest height, an unconscious barrier drop, almost like she's clearing space. She doesn't look away from him for nearly 4 full seconds, which in normal conversational rhythm is unusually long. To him, nothing happened. Just small talk. To someone who understands leakage, that's a woman whose body has already answered a question her mouth hasn't been asked yet. Now, here's where cognitive dissonance comes in, because this is what actually confuses most men after the fact. If a woman shows attraction signals but consciously isn't ready to act on them, maybe timing's wrong. Maybe she's protecting herself from past hurt. She will often downplay the interaction afterward, even to herself. She's not lying to you. She's resolving the tension between I felt something and I'm not pursuing this. And the resolution is usually minimizing what happened, which means the body doesn't just tell you what's happening in real time. Sometimes it's the only honest record that ever existed. This is why so many men get told years later, I actually really liked you back then. It's not that she was hiding it well, it's that you were only trained to read words, and her body had already told the truth the entire time. So now you understand the mechanism. Let's get into the 9 signs, and I want you paying close attention starting at number 4, because that's where most men's interpretation completely flips from correct to backwards. Sign 1, foot direction watch where her feet point, not her shoulders. Shoulders can be angled toward you out of politeness in a group setting. Feet are honest. They point toward what the brain wants to move closer to. If her feet are angled toward you consistently, even while her face is turned to talk to someone else, that's genuine interest. Common mistake. Men check this once and decide it's conclusive. One instance means nothing. Consistency across a conversation is what matters. Sign 2, proximity creep. Notice. If the physical distance between you shrinks over the course of a conversation without either of you consciously moving to close it, this happens gradually. A half step here, leaning in there. It works because proxemics, the psychology of personal space, is deeply tied to comfort and trust. We only let people we feel safe with inside our physical buffer zone. Mistake to avoid. Don't mirror this too aggressively once you notice it. Closing distance faster than she is can spike discomfort and reverse the whole dynamic. Sign 3, the return glance. A single glance means nothing. Everyone looks around a room. What matters is the return. She looks away, then looks back at you specifically within a short window, often under 10 seconds. That return is the brain checking whether you noticed. The mistake most men make is holding the eye contact too intensely once they catch it, which can feel confrontational rather than warm. Soften it, a slight smile, then look away yourself. Sign 4, the disinterest flip. Here's the one men get backwards. A woman playing with her hair, touching her neck, or adjusting her clothing is often labeled as bored or not paying attention. In reality, in the context of active conversation with good energy, these are self-soothing and self-adornment behaviors tied to nervous system arousal. She's regulating a slightly elevated state, not tuning out. The mistake is men see fidgeting and back off entirely, killing momentum in a conversation that was actually going well. Sign 5, aid mirroring watch. If she starts unconsciously matching your posture, your drinking pace, your tone of voice. Mirroring is a subconscious bonding behavior. The brain does it automatically toward people it feels aligned with. It's one of the most reliable signals because it's almost impossible to fake convincingly for an extended conversation. Mistake. Don't test it by mirroring her first and watching if she copies you back. That turns a natural signal into a performance, and both of you will unconsciously sense something's off. Sign 6. Exposed wrists and palms. When someone feels safe and open, their gestures naturally show more palm and inner wrist, subtle vulnerability displays. Crossed arms, hidden palms, and closed fists signal the opposite. This is one of the more overlooked signs because it's so small, but it's a strong baseline read on comfort level. Sign 7, shy, the delayed blink. This is the one almost nobody catches. During a moment of genuine connection, a joke landing, a shared laugh, a meaningful exchange, watch her blink rate right after eye contact breaks. A slightly delayed, slower blink, sometimes paired with a brief downward glance and a small smile, is a strong unconscious attraction marker. It's subtle because it happens in under 2 seconds, but once you know to look for it, you'll see it clearly, and it rarely shows up with someone who's simply being polite. Sign 8. Voice pitch shift attraction subtly raises vocal pitch and softens tone. It's an unconscious signal tied to warmth and openness. If her voice noticeably shifts, becomes lighter or more animated specifically when talking to you compared to how she talks to others in the group, that's meaningful. Mistake. Don't confuse general extroversion with this. You need a comparison point, her voice with you versus her voice with everyone else. Sign 9. Time distortion. This one isn't a single gesture, it's a pattern. Genuine attraction makes people lose track of time. If a quick 5-minute chat turns into 40 minutes without her checking her phone, glancing at the door, or disengaging, her nervous system is telling you she's comfortable enough to let the moment stretch. Most men miss this because they're too busy managing their own nerves to notice how much time has actually passed. Now that you know these signs, here's the part that matters more than any of them individually: how you handle knowing them. The instinct, once you start seeing these signals, is to want immediate confirmation. You clock 2 or 3 signs in one conversation, and suddenly you're overanalyzing every follow-up text, every response time, every emoji. That's not mastery. That's anxiety wearing the costume of knowledge. Real understanding of attraction isn't about certainty in a single moment. It's about pattern recognition across time. One conversation with strong signals tells you something is there worth exploring. It doesn't tell you the whole story, and treating it like a verdict will make you act needy, over-text, over-explain, over-pursue. And neediness is one of the fastest ways to shut down attraction that was genuinely building. Here's the reframe I want you to sit with. You are not a detective trying to catch her in a confession. You're simply someone who's learning to listen better. Most men go their entire lives only half listening to the people in front of them, reading words, missing everything underneath. You're not doing that anymore. That alone puts you ahead of almost every man she's ever interacted with. So be patient with the process of noticing, not because patience is some virtue you're supposed to perform, but because rushing genuinely breaks things that would have worked if you'd let them breathe. Attraction isn't a light bulb. It's not off, then instantly on. It builds, it dips, it responds to how safe and steady you are, which means your job isn't to chase every signal the second you spot it. Your job is to stay calm, stay observant, and let her come toward you at the pace her own nervous system sets. Why does that work? Because steadiness itself is attractive. A man who can notice interest without spiraling, without immediately needing reassurance, is demonstrating exactly the emotional security that draws people in further. You calm down, and paradoxically, that's what makes the signals you're watching for become stronger and more frequent. Here's the truth to leave with tonight. You were never bad at reading women. You were simply never taught the language. And now that you have the vocabulary, don't rush to translate every sentence at once. Let the conversation unfold. Watch. Stay grounded. The signs will keep speaking. You just have to keep listening. If this gave you a piece of clarity you didn't have 20 minutes ago, hit subscribe because there's a lot more of this coming. And drop a comment telling me which sign surprised you the most. I read every single one and I want to know which one hit home for you tonight.